Today, I want to talk about things to consider before you submit an essay for an online exam. I want to cover a few things which will help you as you write and as you go through the process of submitting an essay for online submission. When preparing to submit an online essay for an exam, there are some key areas to check: structure and coherence, research and referencing, criticality and argument, language and style, and understanding and content. So let's start with the first one, structure and coherence. A common comment you might see from a marker is, "This work is unclear and difficult to follow." In this case, there are some things to think about, such as your introduction and conclusions, the overall structure of your work, and the transition language, as well as how you signpost your ideas. You should clearly state the purpose of the piece of work, how it will be arranged, and make the relationships between ideas clear to the reader. Some useful strategies to consider in order to make your structure and coherence is clear throughout your work is to plan out your piece of work before you begin writing. This will help you organize your ideas into themes and ideas. You should also be careful to only use one key theme idea per paragraph. Finally, have an awareness of signposting language and use this to show the connections between themes and ideas and between paragraphs. The second issue students may have with their writing is in terms of the research they've conducted, and closely linked to this is the referencing system they have used. One comment which can be indicative of issues with research and referencing is poor evidence. If you ever get feedback like this, then things to think about are the research you've used, your information sources, and your understanding and knowledge of referencing. There are some strategies you can employ to improve on this. Firstly, make sure you always look beyond core reading lists. This will help your understanding, and you'll be able to evidence this research throughout your work. You also need to be clear about what constitutes a good quality resource in your subject, as this can vary. When you are reading, make sure you have criteria to evaluate what you are reading. Use prompt questions such as why, how, to help you be critical in your reading. As well as going beyond the reading list, you should also use a wide range of resources from different perspectives and make sure you use these in your work to reflect the fact that there is a range of views and that you are aware of these. Finally, it is important to make sure that you are familiar with the referencing system you are expected to use and that you are able to use it accurately. Another issue to be aware of is the depth of criticality and argument. If you get a comment such as, "It is too descriptive and superficial," this is a prompt for you to consider if your writing is analytical in nature or is it quite descriptive. You also might need to think about the extent to which you've displayed critical thinking and if you've been able to develop an argument in your writing, or if you've simply told a story. You can ensure that you are writing analytically by using questions to prompt your analysis, thinking about the how, why not, what if, and so what can really help develop your writing. You should also ensure that you include a range of views in your writing and that it is clear to the reader what your overall stance is. And you can review your work to check whether it is analytical as opposed to descriptive. You can do this by looking at the language you've used and thinking about whether you've addressed some of these questions: how, why, and so what. Often, feedback makes references to the language and style of the writing, and students may find they have been given comments such as poorly constructed sentences impede understanding. In this case, you should think about your use of formal language. You should think about the voice you've used. It is also worth thinking about reviewing if you have paraphrased and quoted sources correctly. Finally, have you checked for spelling and grammar issues? Often, students run out of time and don't do this, but it is vital you present accurately written work. In order to ensure that you have written in the appropriate style and that you are accurate in your written work, you can think about the following. Firstly, think about developing your academic voice. Observe how this is done in the texts you are reading. It is also to use clear sentences and to avoid overcomplicating your language. Make sure you use evidence to back up the points you want to make. It is also worth checking previous feedback on pieces of work you've submitted to identify the types of spelling and grammar mistakes that you tend to make. you can then focus on and check for these particular types of errors. Another very useful technique is to read your work aloud. This can be a very effective way of identifying errors. You can also use software to help you do this. Finally, the last aspect to consider is whether or not you've shown you've understood the question and that your content is appropriate. Often, if this is not the case, you'll get feedback such as key concepts and learning outcomes are not adequately addressed. In this case, you should think about if you've addressed the task. Have you stayed on topic? Have you analysed the question and shown your understanding of the topic? Finally, have you read widely and not only relied on a few sources? In order to ensure you have done this, you can check the marking criteria. Find out what the markers are looking for. It is always useful to take some time to read the assignment brief to make sure you are clear of what the task is and that you know how to approach it. Then also take some time to map out a plan for the assignment. This means that you can think about and select the ideas and themes you wish to include and think about the order these will be presented in. Reading round the subject also gives you an overview of the different views people may have and can help you include a range of views. And this will also mean that you have evidence to back up and support the points you wish to make. Finally, to show that you've really understood what you've read and where it fits into your overall argument, you should paraphrase and summarize where possible, and you should avoid the overuse of direct quotation. I hope this has been useful. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, the team would love to hear from you on academicskills@newcastle.ac.uk.